It's my DraftKings golf picks for the Farmers Insurance Open at Torrey Pines. We're starting right now. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Holkamaniacs YouTube channel. If this is your first time here and you want to become a more profitable DraftKings player, start now by subscribing to the channel. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything along the way. And if you're already a Holkamaniac, you know exactly what time it is. Smash that like button. But better yet, if you want to get into a weekly drawing for 20 DK bucks, make sure you stay until the end of the video so you know what to drop into the comments. Let's talk a little bit about Torrey Pines this week and what types of players we should be targeting in this week in particular. So it's a little bit interesting scenario because we definitely want golfers who are bombers, with few exceptions this week, because the biggest thing here is there are two different courses that there will be playing this week. So the North course will be the first round, which is a little bit shorter than the next three rounds, which is going to be the South course at Torrey Pines, which is significantly longer. So we want to target bombers ideally. Some key metrics we're going to always be targeting, but this week in particular is no different. Strokes gained, we definitely want to focus on approach shots as well as driving distance. Par 4 and par 5 scores are ones that I'm almost always looking for, but this is a great week to continue to do that. And scrambling is going to be a big part of our process this week. I will say too, if you're new to golf, make sure you check out my course on PGA DFS. I do have a bunch of videos up to kind of lead you more towards the research process that led me to where I kind of landed on this week. We're going to start with some of the top elite options in this week, and I do think paying all the way up for Rory McIlroy is certainly in play. He is 11-6 on DraftKings, but he is 5th in strokes gained. I mentioned I do really want to target these guys that have strong approach shots. That's over the last 50 rounds, but he is 1st in stroke gained off the tee as well. So he's just one of those guys that we're almost always targeting on some of these longer courses. He's the best long-term adjusted round score in the entire field. Jon Rahm is the guy for 300 cheaper that I'm significantly interested in as well. He's 6th in stroke gained, tee to green over the last 50 rounds. He does have 2 top 5 finishes here over the last 3 years as well. So if we wanted to focus on a little bit of course history, Jon Rahm could certainly be your guy. He's an exceptional par 4 and par 5 scorer. Another one of the key factors that we're going to be prioritizing this week in particular. He's 3rd in total strokes gained as well. So I definitely think that Jon Rahm is certainly in the mix if you want to be paying all the way up. Xander Schauffele, I'm sure I said his name wrong, but he is 10-1 on DraftKings this week as well. The 4th best adjusted round score in the entire field. 4th in strokes gained, tee to green over the last 50 games as well. Strong scrambler, that's one of the things that we really want to focus on as well. Even if we are paying up, these scramblers could be one of the ones that would make a big difference for us in this week in particular. He's 10th in strokes gained off the tee as well. So certainly a solid option if we want to pay all the way up this week. I really like the top high-end options as well if we move down a tier in the salary spectrum. In particular, Hideki Matsuyama. He's 9.9 on DraftKings. He's 9th in strokes gained approach over the last 50 rounds as well. But I'm really focused on Matsuyama this week because of his excellent short game. Definitely helps a lot when we're trying to really target scores and birdie scores as well. He's 3rd in strokes gained, tee to green as well. So 9.9 seems like a great price for Matsuyama in this week in particular. We did want to move to my next option, Gary Woodland at 9.5. 3rd in proximity to the hole from 200 yards out. 10th in strokes gained approach over the last 50 rounds as well. And he hasn't missed the cut here over his last 7th appearances. Another one of those guys that definitely has done well here at Torrey Pines. Tony Finau at 9.3, definitely think he's a great option in this range as well. 15th in strokes gained approach over the last 50 rounds, 9th in stroke gains tee to green, but he is one of those guys that is extremely long off the tee as well. So on this course, we're going to need some bombers. I think Tony Finau is someone that is priced at a really nice spot in this particular course. Hasn't finished outside the top 25 at this event as well. So both him and Woodland, definitely some guys that we could be targeting in terms of course history. So we're going to move down to some mid-range options, a little bit cheaper on the end of the salary spectrum. And I do think Colin Morikawa at 8.9 is a fantastic value, significantly underpriced if we're looking at things like stroke gained. He is ranked 1st over the last 50 rounds in that category, 2nd in strokes gained, tee to green as well. 1st in approach shots, I should mention, but 10th in par 4 efficiency is something that I'm definitely focused on this week. If you're looking for a pivot off of Morikawa, I do think that Scheffler is really interesting at 8.8 as well. Only 13th in stroke gain on his approach shots, but he's 5th in par 4 efficiency as well, 24th in par 5. So top 25, 2 of the categories we're really focused on at just 8.8. Really great value. Joaquin Niemann at 8.6 is a really interesting asset this week. 7th in strokes gained on approach shots, 11th in strokes gained off of the tee, but 18th in par 4 efficiency. So I do think that he has a couple data points certainly in his favor that would tell you that he's a little bit underpriced on this slate. Now we're going to get into some value options. This is essentially what you would need to jam in a bunch of different studs, and this might be a slate where this might be a viable option. So we do have Russell Knox at 7.6. He's 8th in strokes gained and approach shots over the last 50 rounds. He's not very long off the tee, but he is a very good iron player. So I do think that his short game is something we'll be focused on this week. And at 7.6, you certainly have to take a little bit off of some of these key areas that we are looking for, but he has been someone that's made the cut in the last 2 cuts at this event. So Lanto Griffin at 7.9, a little bit more expensive than Knox, but he's not a great approach shot guy, but he is a great guy that if we're looking to be long off the tee. Again, strong putter as well. I think that him being such a great short game player really could help him in this event, especially if he can keep things between the fairways. 15th in total strokes gained over the last 50 rounds. Definitely think at 7.9, he's a reasonable punt this week. The last value option I have for you guys this week is Harris English. He's 7.4 on DraftKings, 9th in strokes gained off the tee, 12th in total strokes gained. And I do think that if we're just going to try and focus on some guys that could make the cut, he's only missed here once since 2012. So I definitely think that there is a decent floor here with English, and he could be a reasonable punt option at 7.4. I think I probably prefer Knox, but I do think that English could be a little bit lower owned. Let me know in the comments if you like this section as well. I wanted to walk through a couple potential roster construction options there could be for cash games. We'll walk through GPP in a minute, but I do think if you wanted to go superstars and scrub, Rory McIlroy definitely hurts what you can do with the rest of your roster. So if you wanted to go with someone like English at 7.4, Ortiz at 6.9, you should still be able to fill out that roster with a decent amount of solid plays. Hideki Matsuyama 9.9, Finau at 9.3. Definitely think Finau is going to be someone that I'll be focused on at my core this week. And Griffin at 7.9 again is someone that you can really kind of gain a little bit of salary edge there. And then if you didn't want to go all the way up to Matsuyama, you could go to Gary Woodland. Still, I do like the idea of Finau at 9.3. There's a couple other options in that range that I didn't mention yet. Soonjae Im at 9.1 is someone that I'll certainly be focused on in cash games. Definitely think that there's a little bit more upside from a tournament perspective from some other options, but I really like the mid-range this week. If we want to talk about roster construction for tournaments in particular, I do think that Xander at 10.1 is really interesting. Morikawa at 8.9 and On at 7.7 is a roster build that I think might be really interesting if we wanted to kind of go with a high price guy and a couple mid-range options after that. John Rahm in tournaments always seems to be someone that I'm super interested in. 11.3, kind of pairing him with a couple really cheap options like Ortiz and Triangle. I do think that both of those guys are reasonable ways to save salary, but it's really tough to get up to the John Rahms of the world, but it could certainly work out this week. Scheffler at 8.8, that's more of the kind of mid-range build that I'd be looking for in tournaments. Maybe you pair him with someone like Neiman and Wolf as well. I think these would be kind of my core tournament options. Again, we walked through cash games before, but the mid-range is really interesting this week overall. If you want to learn more about how to be a profitable DraftKings player, make sure you hit the subscribe icon in the bottom right-hand corner now, and let me know in the comments your favorite golfer priced over 10K for the Farmers Insurance Open. If you want in that drawing for 20 DK bucks, I post the winners weekly on my Instagram story, so while you're over there, make sure and give me a follow. If you want more entries in the contest, I also include those that comment on recent Instagram posts with their DK handle.